You're listening to the Meet the Farmers podcast with me, your host, Ben Eagle. Please remember to subscribe to the show wherever you are listening. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 227 of the Meet the Farmers podcast with me, Ben Eagle. And last week we were in New Zealand talking to a Norwegian farmer. And this week we're keeping the Down Under theme and we're heading across the Tasman Sea to Australia. And I'm meeting Rachael McGrath, who is a dairy farmer based in southwest Victoria. She farms with her dad, and the herd is made up of stud Jerseys, Brown Swiss, and some crossbreeds. They also have some sheep and some horses on the farm. Rachael, thank you for coming on Meet the Farmers. I spoke to you for the Kite podcast last year, but it's really good to have you on this one. How are you doing? Just before we started recording, you said you're off on some short travels soon.
Yeah, so we've been planning for, and finally it's come around, is International Dairy Week. So we've spent the last couple of weeks, lots of lists, lots of planning, and now it's finally coming together. We've nearly got everything packed. After this, I've got to go put the silage in the back of the trailer so that we're right to go. We'll leave at 4 o'clock in the morning, and the cows will leave at about 9:30, 10 o'clock so that we get up before them and get everything set up.
It's really exciting. Can you just tell us a little bit more about it as an event?
Yeah, so it's quite huge. There's 6 breeds. So there's Holstein, Jersey, Guernsey, Ayrshire, Illawarra, and I know I've missed one. Oh, that's a great start.
And the other one.
But what we take is we've got Jerseys, Brown Swiss, 2 Illawarras, and I've just recently purchased a red Holstein, so
really?
Just venturing into that. Yeah, I wanted one for a while, and then I was like, Mum, will you please go halves with me? So yeah.
Maybe on that, let's start with that in terms of just tell us a bit about the herd numbers and a bit about the business, how it's sort of grown over time.
Well, when I was little, we had quite a big farm. We got up to, I think Mum said 997, but that was before I was on the farm. And then we had a farm accident, which threw a curveball. A fella who was living with us and working with us drove across our road in front of a truck and was killed. So
oh wow,
we had to sell that farm.
Gosh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah. It took a long time to get back going again, but so that happened in 2007. We sold that dairy in 2008 and we just ran beef there until 2011, and we were like, right, we're not making enough money to pay for anything, so we approached the bank and went into more debt and built another dairy, which is then where I left school. And I left school later that year and pursued the role on our family farm on the dairy farm. And we were just sort of whatever we could get cheap, crossbreds and everything. And then my brother, about 6 years ago, took a interest in showing cattle, so then we made the move. So that's where we went with the stud cattle then, and got the Jerseys. Then the Brown Swiss come along. So it's family run farm. We get some outside help from backpackers here and there in the busy time. Yeah, it's good. It's been good. I'm 12 years now, so it's very good.
And tell us more about Victoria as well for anyone who doesn't know it as a state.
For Victoria, so like where I am from in particular, it's probably more mild climate, I'd say, where generally, we don't have the hottest of summers and we don't have the coldest of winters. So I like to think we're in a really good spot. And then Northern Victoria, which is where we're going for International Dairy Week, it's going to be hot. We're going to be taking the cows up to an average of 30 to 35 degrees. I've been looking at the weather. Last year it was like 42.
Oh my goodness.
It's hot. yeah, so fans are on, misters are on, just try and keep them eating, keep them cool as best we can. It's a huge show, and it's like it's the elite show really. And then obviously you've got Gippsland as another really big dairy area, which would have a much higher rainfall, and a lot more mountainy sort of area, but great dairy country over there.
Let's talk a little bit about your career. You said that you started working on the farm when you were 17. How have you taken things since then? Just give us a little insight into your time on your farm and how you've grown, I suppose, in dairy through that time.
So I started working on the school holidays, and then it come to starting my final year of school. And I said, Mum, I don't want to go back. And she said, okay, the only way that you can leave school is if you do some more education. I said, right.
Okay.
So I did a Cert 4, and it's called rural operations, but basically it was just agriculture, and you could sort of pick your subjects. So in that I had to do obviously the compulsory ones, which is your work health safety, occupational health safety stuff. And I did my AI certificate, my preg testing certificate. I did a bit of metal fab, which I haven't gone back to, so I'm
Oh
no
wow.
good at that. Yeah. And I also got my medium rigid license through that
Okay.
as well. So quite a broad sort of area. And then I was just working day to day for probably about, that was 2012, so probably about 4, no, maybe 6 years. Anyway, I decided that I think I can get more out of this, and I wanted to learn more. And obviously, I was learning off Dad, but it's just that was generational sort of stuff. So I enrolled in Cert 4 at RIST, which is a local ag school that allows you to work full time and study. Yeah, I got a little bit more education there with nutrition and pastures, as well as your compulsory subjects. And through that, I was networking with people, and I got on the New Zealand study tour, which was
Okay.
fully funded from the Gardner Foundation. And that sort of is where a few doors opened, I guess. Networking with people from there, and then because there was media stuff involved with that, we had to come back and speak about our trip, which was really like quite frightening in front of everyone. But then I suppose it sort of got my name out there. My mum was already speaking at like she spoke at Nuffield down in Tassie one year, and the Australian Dairy Conference, about the accident that we had on the farm, and
Yeah.
sort of trying to help people along with it. And then because I was doing a little bit of public speaking, they were like, hang on, how about we get a younger person in to see like how they dealt with it and their resilience. And so I spoke at the Australian Dairy Conference. That was just before COVID hit. And then, yeah, since then I've become, I've also just last year graduated my diploma of agriculture as well. I decided I want
Oh,
to do a bit
amazing.
more again.
Just on the
Just
side,
hungry
why
to do
not?
it. Yeah. Yeah. And again with risk, so I was able to study that and work full time. And yeah, I become a dairy ambassador with Dairy Australia, and I've been to Canberra, done media training in Melbourne. It's dairy. There's so many things with it, and if you put yourself out there, that everyone's willing to help you and get you along.
Yeah, I love that as well. And I think you're a great example of showing how you can like engage with so much stuff out there in the industry in terms of your professional development. You just have to go out there and find it and do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's all go on to the farm. Working with your dad. So I'm just interested in the day to day in terms of responsibilities, how it works. You said you have some occasional outside help as well.
Yeah. So day to day, obviously morning and afternoon milking, but it's no 2 days are the same, like ever. You could be feeding calves. We've just finished the harvest and stuff, but generally, yeah, plenty of feeding, making sure that our animals are vaccinated, drenched. Yeah, and just, I suppose, keeping on top of the computer work is just as important as doing the outside work, which I hate.
Yep.
I hate so much. But it is a huge aspect of it. And, my sister does the books on the farm. So, we try and work closely together to make sure that, we're making a profit, and not just running into the ground. Obviously, we spent so long of really like chasing our own tail after the accident that it took until 2019 for us to be like, we're actually making money again. So, we've known what it's like to be quite hard, and it's been stressful on the family. And like mum and dad, like they want to give us everything that they can. And when times were tough, you could see that stress on them.
Can we just turn actually briefly to farm safety? Because certainly in the UK, it's I mean, ag and around the world as well, it is known as being one of, if not the most, in many parts of the world, dangerous professions out there. What is the situation in Australia, and what sort of support is there out there? And our farm, I'm just interested in whether farmers talk about farm safety, and how they do.
Yeah, so at industry level, they do courses, and not just courses, but you would go away and there'd be information sessions. That's it,
Okay.
about it. And definitely, we have to dot all our I's and cross all of our T's, make sure that employees are wearing helmets on the quad bikes. Every quad bike must have a roll bar. Everyone has to do their induction and be signed off, and that they're competent before they do anything. There is a lot that you definitely have to do to make sure, but then also follow up with it, because like you could be doing a job a million times, but then you become complacent, and then that's where the issue is. And I know, like I've at times, like I'll be just doing a job or I'll be rushing it, and then I'll be like, whoa, that could have been bad or something. Like I was pulling cedars out of heifers not long ago, and I just put my hand in between a bar and then went to pull it out, but she walked back and I twisted my
Oh my
arm to get
goodness.
out of it. But I was like, oh, I could have broken my arm. And then I was like, well, what if I did? Like, how would
Yeah.
that affect the farm then? So I was like, don't make silly mistakes or make silly decisions.
Yeah, things can happen so quickly, can't they, as well? It's those split
Exactly.
decisions that make
Yeah.
all the difference. I'm also interested in your thoughts. So I've just been to the Oxford Farming Conference here, and one of the talks sort of one of the conversations actually sort of delved into this sort of era of farm safety when it comes to linking with getting younger people onto farms and recruitment. And there was the sort of discussion gauge between, well, it's a dangerous industry, therefore I don't have the time to spend the time putting sufficient training in, but at the same time, you've got to start somewhere. What's your view on that in terms of recruiting younger people, but who perhaps don't have any much on-farm experience, but also keeping them safe on farm?
Yeah. So, well, in particular, the backpackers that we get, so the international employees,
Yeah,
um, they're generally young. And what people probably don't want to do either is, because these guys stay for their 88 days, so they're only with us for 3 months, and a lot of people are like, oh, the first month they're keen, the second month, the first month you're teaching them, the second month they've got it, the third month they're ready, they're already looking out the door, sort of thing.
yeah,
And so a lot of people are like, oh, we don't want to be spending that time, but we have been very lucky. We've had a lot of Irish workers, and they've probably like been the strongest and good work ethic.
okay.
Um, but
Shout out to all
yeah,
those Irish out there.
I've got four sitting out there now. I've got two flown over to help me at International Dairy Week, so
Oh, great.
I'll love those. But it's definitely like very important. But the thing is that we need the help. So do it right and teach them right, and then you can trust that they're going to do it. I think half the time that I've got PTSD from the accident. If someone goes around on the motorbike too fast, I'm like, oh, please slow down or get off. Or,
Yeah,
I think of the worst case scenario, because obviously we
yeah,
did have worst case scenario, and I don't ever want that to happen again, to
absolutely.
us or to anyone.
This episode is being supported by our primary sponsor, Howden Rural, which is the new name for A Plan Rural. The Howden team shares my passion for giving a voice to farmers, and we are both driven to raise the profile of farming voices to a wider audience. Howden Rural do a lot of work on social media themselves, sharing farming accounts and farming stories. They have a rural community blog which shares farmers' experiences. And they also support a growing number of initiatives that champion UK farmers, including this podcast. So, a big thank you to Howden Rural for supporting Meet the Farmers. Let's turn away from the farm for a bit. I mean, do you ever get away from farm? And I mean here for like non-farm stuff, as opposed to all the extra stuff. Do you get any time to do anything else?
I am I've actually booked with my friends 3 days very soon after Dairy Week to go camping along a
Oh,
river
amazing and well done.
and just go paddleboarding and stuff like that. I was just we had a salmonella break outbreak early December,
Uh,
and I was just there every morning and night taking temperatures and trying to catch them as quick as I could. We've got collars, which helped a lot, um, but it's awful. And I'm still getting cases. I've done the first vaccine, but it just knocks them around so much. Um, but yeah, so I just said to myself, I was like, right, I need time off after Dairy Week once I get it out of the way. So yeah, I like to do camping. I probably don't get a lot of time to do much else, but through the winter I do play netball.
let's broaden this out to the wider industry. Nice big question here. Challenges and opportunities that dairy farming, but perhaps ag in general, faces in Australia. Just interested in your perspective.
Yeah, so probably ag in general would be the water scarcity and the frequency of weather extreme. Um, you know, uh, eastern states with all the flooding that they've been having, it's crazy. They just get going again and then something happens again. So that definitely makes it very difficult. And then it also, when it's happening to the dairy areas, like it's affecting the milk supply and their viability.
Yeah, I mean, certainly, yeah. I mean, it's again and again wherever you are in the world, it's more in it's the story everywhere. Certainly up in the UK at the moment, a lot of people have lost winter crops. Yeah, there's a lot of pastures underwater. It's quite mad. I mean, in terms of climate change directly to your farm business, and I suppose the sustainability offering going forward, what are your plans for mitigation going forward?
We can store water like in dams. So we've built, we've dug a big dam down here at home so that we could sort of have that extra water, really. But then also probably like to be sustainable, we've got grants to, and we have used them for planting trees and fencing off waterways. So we're trying to do as much as we can. We're obviously dry land farming. We could put in a big bore and go really deep and be guaranteed that water. But there's that big cost too, and there's already high production costs in Australia. So whatever we can do to sort of like help ourselves without having huge costs, and we're also putting in more deep rooted sort of pastures to try and get the moisture and the nutrients from down lower, and using more mixed species crops through the summer, and using plants that fixate their own nitrogen. So clover and peas would be our biggest ones. To reduce our urea or nitrogen output.
You've seen positive results with that so far?
Yeah, no, it's been really good. And not only that, using the mixed species crop too, I have way less health problems with the cows. Once upon a time, we just put rape straight in. And, if a cow gets a gut full of it, they've got photo the next day and or that afternoon half the time. And, you're trying to get the antihistamines into them really fast. And I haven't used, touch wood, antihistamines for 2 years. So it's really
Wow,
good.
fantastic. Let's turn to Labour, the Labour situation, which is a classic again, wherever you are in the world, it seems to be an issue. What's the case in Australia? And for those workers who are coming, where are they coming from?
There wouldn't be. on dairy farms, what I think, or even just looking online, there wouldn't be a lot of Australians who's putting their hands up to work on dairy farms in comparison to, well, the backpackers. They need to do their 88 days, otherwise they have to leave or they can't get a second year visa. There's plenty of them at the moment, but I'm pretty sure Australia is bringing something in to reduce the amount of visas that they're doing next year. Or, sorry, this year probably, because of the cost of houses and stuff. So they think if they reduce the amount of people that come in, they'll reduce the amount of houses that are being bought and more housing for Australians. So, but that then will affect the amount of labour that is around for farmers. So, they try and help one, but they burn another.
And just turning briefly again to policy, how hands on / hands off is the government at the moment, and what's the farming view on that?
I think you can ask any farmer anywhere in the world, and they will always say the government doesn't do enough. And I think it's just, it's having not only just the person like in government, but the ones below it having the right people leading you, I guess, and fighting for the things that is to suit sort of everyone, obviously. Like I like to think that they do have the farmer's mind or farmer's heart and mind, but it's hard to say because they might not be affecting the dairy industry too much right now, but like the way that they want to reduce the export market and stuff. But Australia relies quite heavily on that, and it's hard because there's always something going on, and I can't even keep up with it half the time. I had someone ring me before, and he was like, "Did you catch the news today?" I was like, "Nah," and he goes, "Neither did I, and it's terrible. I have no idea what's going on."
Meet the Farmers is brought to you by RuralPod Media, the only podcast production agency to specialize in the rural sector. We're on a mission to make rural stories mainstream and help businesses, organizations, and communities like you tell your story through podcasting. Podcasting is a fantastic way of connecting with your audience, whoever that might be, getting your message out there and networking with leaders in your niche. RuralPod Media can help you by launching your new podcast or helping you with the technical side. We also provide podcast training and an audit service if you already have a podcast. You're not sure where to take it to next. For more information or to book a call, visit ruralpodmedia.co.uk. That's ruralpodmedia.co.uk. Let's turn to the future of your farm in terms of innovation or anything that you'd like to do in future. I'm also interested in sort of, are you going to specialize more in dairy? What's going to happen with the sheep? Are they going to stay?
Yeah, so future for me is definitely I want to specialize in the dairy. So the sheep have been like nice, handy sort of side income while they were cheap to buy and just self-generating basically. And then what I want to do is, and I will end up getting rid of the breeded out of them. And then one day, hopefully, I can afford to take this place over. There's the aim, but gosh, that's out of arm's length right now because I have a house down the road that I'm renovating and that's sort of bleeding me dry right now.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, no, so the idea is that, yes, I do take over and hopefully find someone nice to settle down with, that'd be nice.
Yeah.
I'm 30 this year, but no, it's good. And I hope that like my sister stays on to do the books and stuff. She's very, very good. And she's definitely a great rock for me when I'm having a bad time or, things are getting a bit overwhelming. She's definitely, I'm very lucky.
And yeah, so that's the farm. You've already alluded that you do quite a lot of wider industry stuff. So I'm just really interested in, where you see yourself, I suppose, going forwards with regards to that as well.
I have thought like a fair bit about sort of if I could do more industry stuff, but then also I look at the people that are doing it now and they're generally a bit older. They probably have managers on their farms. And at the moment, I really love being so active on the farm. So I wouldn't increase too much. I am in the Western District Jersey Breeders' Club, and also on the YDN, the Young Dairy Network here. So on the leadership team for that. So I am doing definitely plenty. And I don't think at this stage I need to probably increase too much more. But I think at the moment too, the more I can learn from others and the mentors, I think is invaluable. So I wouldn't want to jump into an industry role without feeling confident that that I could, do really well in it.
Yeah. No, it certainly sounds like you've got plenty going on anyway. So maybe not adding anything else is a good idea. Just a little more about our primary sponsor, Howden Rural, which is the new name for A-Plan Rural. Same people, different name. Howden Rural provide bespoke insurance cover for farms and estates. This could be for anything from tractors and machinery to a new exciting diversification venture. So for more information, visit howdeninsurance.co.uk/rural. Time is flying, so we're going to move on to the quick questions. These are a bit of fun. The first is your all-time favorite country to visit outside Australia.
Well, I'd have to say Ireland. Like it's nearly an annual trip, to be quite
Oh,
honest.
fantastic.
Yeah, no, I definitely love going there. Like as soon as you're flying in and you see all the hedges and all the square fields, I'm just like, yeah, okay, this could definitely be my second home.
Yeah. Do you have any Irish roots? Because clearly you're fairly obsessed with Ireland.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Well, obviously I'm a McGrath. Mum was the Dwyer. We come over here like 1850s sort of thing. So many, many moons ago.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just always sort of took a liking to it and love their history and all that. So yeah, just probably don't love the cold. Yep.
And finally, the final questions. If you have a message for the public, any message, what would it be?
Definitely consume more dairy. If you eat your daily requirements, there's huge health benefits and it's highly nutritious.
Short and sweet. I like that. And
Yep.
finally, your message for your fellow farmers.
One thing that I probably work with myself is, that there's plenty of hard days, but the good days outweigh the bad. So, keep pushing and definitely find yourself a support person, someone that you can talk to and trust.
Good advice, I think. Um, I think we'll leave it there. Rachel, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been great to gradually this year just trying to do more international stuff, get out to speak to farmers in other countries. And yeah, it's been brilliant to have your insight. So yeah, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Oh, my pleasure. That is it for today. Big thanks to my guest, Rachael McGrath, for coming on the show. Thank you very much for listening. Thanks to our primary podcast sponsor, Howden Rural Insurance, who support the show. Any links and any extra info is in the show notes. Next time, we'll be back in the UK, and I'll be speaking to agricultural consultant Niels Caulfield. So I hope you can join me for that. For now, though, I'm Ben Eagle. This has been Meet the Farmers. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope you all have a great